So we're up here in our veneer cutting room, and it's exciting to do one of our veneer unveiling videos. It seems like a long time since we've done this, and this is just the process that whenever the shipment comes in, we just get to look at it for the very first time. So you're seeing it the same time as I'm seeing it for the first time. And the shelves behind us here, it's starting to be getting a little bit light with quilted maple. It's one of the hardest woods at the moment to find. It's become incredibly rare, especially to find it to the quality that we really need to build our guitars. And I'm going to tell you a little bit further after I open this, just about how we make our guitars, how we combine the veneers with our carbon fiber, and that'll kind of make a little bit more sense. But right now we're just going to talk about the beauty of quilted maple. And our suppliers, they roll all our veneers up, and they're shipped across. And it's always the fun part whenever you get this big roll of veneer and it all unfurls. So here we have it. So what I did was I was able to find a supplier that had this beautiful selection of quilted maple. And what I'm looking for is I'm always looking for really high quality figuring and light color, even color. A lot of times I'm trying to find it that it's wide enough to fit all our guitars, because I like to, as much as possible, have a guitar that doesn't need book match, because we get that full even color. Interesting characteristics, knots. We don't like to have too many knots in quilted maple, but sometimes when there's really unique and interesting knots like this, that can add a lot to the character. But looking at this piece, what I see is it's a really big quilt, very long quilted pattern, huge definition on it, really has a lot of movement, very, very three-dimensional, which is beautiful. And this is wide enough to fit all our designs. We can do an acoustic bass on here, certainly very easily with our X20. And if you've been on our 3D Builder website, you'll know that these guitars, these pieces will be sliced up, photographed, scanned, put on our website, and you're going to be able to see that on a guitar, and you'll be able to move the positioning and find exactly where it looks perfect for you. So let's have a quick look through some of the different pieces we have. So those are all off the same tree, and these are sliced really, really thin out of a slab of quilted maple. So it starts off with from a solid lumber, and then they're sliced like almost like a cheese grater, just this cheese slicer that slices this down, and it comes out 0.6 millimeters thick, so very, very thin. And when we actually process it, it'll end up half that thickness. So here's a beautiful piece as well. Beautiful even color, very light. And what's really cool, whenever it's a very light veneer, whenever we put a stain, we put a color on that, it really pops. So you get that real vibrant color. So beautiful patterns on this. Really, really interesting grain. And if I have a look on the other side, because it looks quite different on the two sides. Yeah, beautiful three-dimensional look on this. A lot of quilting, lovely color gradient. That's going to make some beautiful guitars. The really hard thing that we have with pieces like this, though, is deciding how to cut it, because we will have quite a bit of waste. It's a bit wider than we normally need, so we have to be very careful on how we use these, but that's going to give us a lot of really nice guitars. And again, another one, very similar, a little bit tighter grain pattern. And then this one, this is really nice. So it's a very tight quilt. So you can just see the difference in that. So if we lay a template over the top, and this is what I like to have, some variation in the different quilted maples that I have in stock. So depending on what you like, there'll be a piece there to suit you. So you can see just how tight the quilt pattern is on this. Very different than say the long quilting on some of those other pieces, but really beautiful up here. And this is very similar to a lot of the quilted maple that we had over the last 2-3 years. I had a large consignment that we got out of a log, and it's just about ran out, so really, really nice to get some of this again. So I think we have enough quilted maples just arrived for about 200 guitars, and it's not going to last all that long, but very nice to have it. So that's a good start. Now we have a couple more rolls to have a look at. So it looks like these are all consecutive sheets, all out of the same log, very, very similar. So we'll just go into the middle of it here. So you see again, this is a really large pattern and a very dramatic pattern. As I'm looking at that, it's got a really incredible amount of quilting, and yeah, this is some special stuff here. So wow. That is really quite incredible. And what I'm going to do, we've got something very special coming up, and I was looking for some special quilted maple for it, and I'm going to select some sections that I'm going to keep for a special project, and this lot could well be it, but we'll have a look through the rest of it before we make a final decision. But yeah, pretty impressive. One more roll. So this is always exciting because I buy this from our supplier with photographs, and you never really know what you're going to get. You know, a photograph tells you so much, a video tells you so much, but it's only when you actually see it in front of you that you really get to experience the patterns and just the three-dimensional aspect of it. Like this one here, very three-dimensional. It's really got that very extreme quilting, and you look at this and you're like, how can that be flat? You try and touch it expecting to feel a bump, and it's not. It's just totally flat, and this is among the nicest quilted maple I've seen in a very long time. Even up this end, doesn't have as much quilting, but it's got this really nice grain pattern that's running right through it as well. So every bit is interesting. Going back through, very similar on those. Those are all consecutive sheets. Set that across like that. And another section of really, really nice color. Kind of the other way around. And sometimes when you turn it over, that's when you really see the pop. Amazing, absolutely amazing. So three-dimensional. Just set the template on it here just so you really get to see it. Sometimes you have to frame it to really get to see what it'll look like. But I can tell that this is going to be exceptional. It's exceptional quality. And what's nice is a lot of these pieces are big enough even for a harp guitar. Now, I'm not sure if this piece is quite long enough. Just about long enough for one of our Synergy X20, actually perfect size for Synergy X20 harp guitar. And I can just imagine how beautiful that will make. And really, really interesting harp guitar. So let's just go down through this. I can't tell you how excited I was when I found this. Literally from the day that I bought the last batch, I've been searching for more, and we just found it right in the nick of time. Yeah, every single piece of this is beautiful. This is a really interesting piece of burl down in here, and you know, that makes a really nice detail as well on a guitar. So absolutely stunning. And these are cut consecutively off one log, so typically they'll be very, very similar. There can be a slight variation from one to the other. But yeah, very similar right the way through. And all really, really high gradient, high quality. And then I have some smaller pieces here. It came flat. So so we'll look at this after, because that is maple burl. But yeah, really nice. Again, that same quilting detail. A very long elongated quilted maple here. Beautiful characteristics, beautiful color. And this one's got a really big pattern on it. Large pattern, some very nice knots. It's going to give some nice detail. I can see that working on something like one of our acoustic bases. I think the acoustic base, a large pattern, always looks good on it. This one is absolutely stunning. It's got that long elongation. It's got the, yeah, so you see the difference on this side. Much more definition on this side. And it's to do with how the quilting actually forms. It's like peaks and valleys. So I always like to use the side that looks like it's coming up into peaks. And it just has, with that long elongation like that. See, I like this. This is actually, sometimes when we find a knot, finding a nice place to put it, like somewhere up here, can look really cool. And the quilting down here is just crazy. You know, or even like that. You just see how different it is. And so it's quilted maple with a lot of variation. And I think that's everything. And again, consecutive sheets. Very similar patterns. You just see the knots changing slightly as it goes through the tree. So that's it. That's the quilted maple. Now, this caught my eye as well from the supplier, and I had to get a few slices of this. And this is quilted maple burl. So you can see there's quilted maple running through the section, and then burl as well. So having that combination is really quite interesting. Now, unfortunately down here we have these sections where it's kind of broken out. There's two things that we can do with that sometimes. See if we remove those little sections and have the carbon fibre showing right through. It can make quite an interesting pattern, and that can be cool. But yeah, if we look at the template on this, once we book match that, so we will join that together, and you can see just how well that works. I love how the shape just flows down on here into the back of the guitar. This coming across the center, bridge running right here, burl section up there. That's going to work really, really beautifully. And if we book match that the other way around, you can see how we get something entirely different. Something very, very unique and different. And we can then flip it the other way, as you can now do on the 3D builder. And so that's going to give you those ideas. So that's it. That's quilted maple and a little bit of flame maple, and really exciting to have that. Genuinely, it's among the nicest stuff that I've seen. And I was going to tell you, as I said, just about how we process this. So we build carbon fiber guitars, and the unique thing that sets us apart is we take the veneer and we fuse that to the top during the process. And it just allows us to build a carbon fiber guitar that has a unique fingerprint. So every single one is unique and different. Whenever we take, two pieces of veneer, cut them slightly different, it means the guitar that we build for you is going to be your own unique guitar. And that's what I love about wood. It's got that natural beauty. No two pieces are the same. And when you combine that with the structural integrity and the tonality that we get with our carbon fiber and the uniformity, it just is a beautiful process. So we take this veneer, we put it into the mold during the molding process, and then under a very high vacuum, we inject resin, and the vacuum infuses and fuses the carbon fiber and the resin and the veneer all together. So all the air is extracted out of the veneer. That's replaced then with the resin. The resin goes right into it. It isolates the veneer from being able to move by temperature and humidity, and you get the beauty of wood and the strength of carbon. So it's a great combination. So if you've been watching our stuff over the last few years, you probably know just how unique and interesting we can make our guitars because of that. Because we're using it for a visual, we can put woods on the top that you might never put on the top of a guitar. And structural integrity of something like this on a guitar top would not be ideal, but when you've got it combined with carbon, it's a perfect combination. So that's it. That's our Quilted Maple veneer unveiling. And keep watching, because we're going to do some very, very special stuff with this wood. Thanks for watching. Please check out the 3D Builder. Go in there, find this Quilted Maple, and build your dream guitar.